Last week, I spent some time revisiting the Kia EV9. This time, though, it was the Land trim, not the GT line. Not that it really makes that much difference. But having the EV9 when it's really cold out, I actually really was interested in testing the battery conditioning to find out how long it takes to heat up that big battery pack. Because remember, the EV9 has a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack versus the Ioniq 5 has a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery pack. So it has a lot more thermal mass. Maybe it has a more powerful heating system, but I wanted to test it out. So in today's video, we're going to compare what it's like to preheat the EV9's battery versus a 2022 Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive. So if you guys want to find out more, then stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's the Ioniq Guy. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. I'm Corbin. I cover all things Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, EV related. So a lot of this video is going to be from first person perspective. I recently got a pair of those Ray-Ban Meta glasses that have the camera built into the temple. I thought it would make for a more interesting first person view of what it's like when you're actually sitting in the car, fiddling with these systems, looking at the data and stuff. So the rest of this video is mostly going to be from my point of view. I hope it doesn't make you too seasick or disoriented, but now you know what it's like to see as the Ioniq Guy. All right, we are now going to test how long it will take to bring the EV9's battery up from a minimum of 32 and a maximum of 35.6 degrees Fahrenheit to an appropriate level for DC fast charging, simulating a road trip situation. So you would want to see that minimum number up to about 75 degrees in order to get full charging speed with the EV9. It's currently 29 degrees out. The battery min 32, max 35.6. The coolant is 39.2. So it's going to take a few minutes at least to get that coolant up to temperature. So we'll go ahead, hit activate. It is 9:27 a.m. and we will check in a little while and see where we're at. Time for a 15-minute check-in. You can see we are drawing 5.65 kilowatts for the heating system. You can see that the battery max is now up to 52. Battery min is only at 41 after 15 minutes. So it's going to take a little bit longer. I'm surprised that the coolant isn't hotter at this point. It's going to at least be probably another 15, maybe 25 minutes before we hit that magical 75, 80 degree point. But we'll check back in another 10 to 15 minutes. All right, time for a 30-minute check-in. You can see the battery max is still only at 66.2, the min 53.6. The coolant is only at 86, and that's really contributing to this low battery minimum temperature. I'm going to give it another 15 minutes, and then after that, I don't know, I might just call this test done because it's just an extraordinary amount of time to get it up to ideal charging temperatures. Still pulling a lot of power though, 5.5 kilowatts. You can see our SOC is down to 75%. So we'll check back in another 15 minutes or so. All right, time for a 45-minute update. You can see battery min is about to hit 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Battery max is perfect at 80.6. Coolant still not even up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and our state of charge is down to 73.5. The car still shows as being low, and that is because of that battery min temperature. Until that hits probably 70 to 75, we're not going to see that change to optimal. So going to give it a few more minutes here. I think we're going to get there within 50 minutes, but we'll check back in a few. All right, so I just heard the ding of the dashboard, and battery conditioning now says normal, and it deactivated itself. And that is because the battery min is now 69.8 degrees Fahrenheit, battery max 82.4. So it seems like with the EV9, battery min needs to be 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll pause that. So it took about 47 minutes. So at around freezing, 47 minutes. So if you're on a road trip, just plan on activating this 45 minutes or so before your charging stop. If you're using route planning where it's going to automatically do it, it should do that on its own. But let's play back this recording. It looks like our state of charge when we began battery conditioning was 77.5, and fast forwarding to the end here, 73.5. So in all, we used about 4% of the battery pack. So we used about 5 kilowatt hours to bring that battery pack up to temperature. So if you do calculate that out to kilowatt hours and cost, it's about $2.90 or $3. So if you want to save money, you don't have to battery condition. So yeah, winter road tripping is going to cost you a little bit more in that regard. That's assuming 58 cents per kilowatt hour, which seems to be a going rate at Electrify America. But yeah, if it is even colder than freezing out, say if it's like 5-10 degrees Fahrenheit, it is going to take a long time. I did do that test with my Ioniq 5 where it was sub-zero and I battery conditioned it. And I think I gave up after about an hour and a half or 2 hours. It was just taking forever. So road trips just take longer in the winter. That's just the nature of the beast right now. Today we're going to do a test at about freezing, how long it'll take to precondition the Ioniq 5's battery pack. So you can see right now it's 29 degrees out. I do have my T-Box Plus plugged in so you guys can see car scanner on the screen here. Current battery min 37.4, max 44.6, and the coolant is about 33, 34 degrees. So this is going to be good information to have on my road trip down to the Raleigh area next week. I want to know how long it's actually going to take because temperatures are going to be pretty cool on this road trip. We will choose the Somerville Electrify America, no, not parking, route. Start guidance, battery conditioning activated for optimal DC charging. It's kicking on. We should start seeing battery power go up. It's up to almost 7 kilowatts. Battery heaters going up. So when I tested the EV9 last week, it was about 45 minutes to get to optimal DC fast charging temperatures. Now you got to keep in mind that is a much larger battery pack, so it has a much larger amount of thermal mass. That's 100 kilowatt hours versus 77 here in the Ioniq 5. Okay, so we're just about 17 minutes in. We've gone down to 97% state of charge, still pulling 6.9 kilowatts. Coolant is close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can see the battery max is up to 63, battery min up to 46.4. So we still probably got at least another 15 minutes. So I have a feeling it's going to be around a half an hour, maybe 35 minutes. All right, we are back. It's been exactly 30 minutes. You can see our battery min is up to 60, just about, and battery max up to about 79 degrees Fahrenheit. The coolant is over 100 degrees, which is higher than we saw in the Kia EV9. So the Ioniq 5 seems to be doing some more heating of the coolant versus that car. You can see we've used about 5% of the battery pack, but I would say in the next 5 minutes that battery min is probably going to be at about 70 degrees, and that's going to be good enough to get you basically full charging speed. But we will come back in a few minutes when I see that get to about 70-ish degrees. This should shut down. You won't see that snowflake anymore, and battery heating will be turned off. Then we're going to let the car sit and see how long the battery with all that thermal mass retains this heat to kind of simulate you getting to a DC fast charger, there being a line. You have to sit and wait to charge. We'll see how much this will drop off in about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, which is probably the longest you're going to have to sit and wait in a line, I hope. But we'll definitely check that out as well. All right, guys, so preconditioning just turned off. You can see we used almost exactly 5% of the battery pack. Battery min is currently at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Battery max just about 90. Coolant temperature is now dropping. So now when comparing the Ioniq 5 to the EV9, it's kind of interesting to see that they're within 300 watt hours of each other in terms of how much energy they needed. And considering the fact that the EV9's battery is almost 25% larger than the Ioniq 5, it's about 22% larger. Yeah, only 300 watt hours and 3 extra minutes of time. You're not really paying too much of a penalty when it comes to battery pack size. Now, because the EV9 does have technically more thermal mass, it probably will retain that heat a little bit longer than the Ioniq 5, but at the same time, it really doesn't have a whole lot more surface area versus the Ioniq 5. They both are pretty long wheelbases. Next time I'm in an EV9, I'll be sure to check out how long it will take for the battery to cool off. So now we're going to park it, let it sit, and see how long it holds these temperatures for to kind of simulate what it would be like if you showed up to a DC fast charger and there was a line and you had to wait 20, 30, 45 minutes. So we'll check back in about a half an hour and see what these temps look like. So right now, 72 on the low and 88 on the high. So it's been just about 30 minutes since battery conditioning kicked off, It is still 29 degrees outside, so it's still pretty cold. And you can see the battery min is at 68, battery max 82.4. So I keep seeing a lot of people complaining about arriving at DC fast chargers and having to wait in line, and this temperature of their battery pack dropping significantly, leading to slow charging speeds. And I honestly don't think that this is the issue. I think the chargers are just derated because the station is full. There's a lot of thermal mass here. It's not going to drop from 75 degrees to 35 degrees in a matter of 30 minutes. It's going to take some time. So I really think that that is exactly what's happening there. And if you show up and have to wait 30, 45 minutes, it's going to drop maybe 10 degrees, but it's definitely not dropping to a point where you have to battery condition again to get decent charging speeds. Even if I plugged in right now, I'd still probably get close to 200 kilowatts. Even now, about an hour and 5 minutes later, you can see the battery min is still 63, battery max 81. So realistically, even if you plugged in now, it would take maybe a couple minutes before the battery got up to ideal temp. So you're really not losing a lot by just stopping battery conditioning altogether. If that number's down closer to 0 degrees Fahrenheit, yeah, maybe it will drop a little bit quicker, but even still, it's not going to add that much time to your charging session. So there you go, guys. That's the comparison between the EV9 and the Ioniq 5's battery conditioning. It'll be interesting to see what Ioniq 9 can do. The Ioniq 9 has an even bigger battery pack by about 10 kilowatt hours versus EV9, so more thermal mass. But Hyundai has specifically said that the EV9 is going to have a different heat pump from EV9, and it is also going to have an updated battery heating system that supposedly is going to be more efficient and quicker. So there is a lot that can be done to improve these times, and I really look forward to testing them out. Unfortunately, the Ioniq 9 is probably not going to be released until realistically spring of 2025. So unless I just happen to have it for a week of testing and we happen to get a real cold spell, I won't be able to test it until next winter, which is rather unfortunate. So anyway, guys, if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. Check out my store at ioniqguy.com for cool accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV. Consider becoming a channel member for as little as 99 cents per month. For $2.99 per month, you can get early access to all of my videos before they're released to the general public. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.